Welcome back to another episode of Thought Bubbles. We're guest starring today with the Nerdy Basement from Instagram. He also has a Facebook page, Ozzy. Hey, Ozzy.
Hello, how you
Hey.
guys doing today? Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you on the show. We've admired you and your Instagram page for a long time. We also have Daniela with us.
Hi guys.
Hey, and
Hello.
myself, Aaron, as well. Jessica and Wolfie may stop in later. If not, we are wanting to start the Marvel battle here and talk about The Runaways and The Gifted, both Marvel shows but run by different networks. The MCU, I think. Is the Runaways tying into the MCU? I think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an MCU. Yep.
And then we have also The Gifted that is on Fox, which is the competitor, which may be all a moot point in the end since I think Disney's buying out Fox. But we wanted to talk about the two shows and see how they measure up against each other. First off, have you guys had a chance to catch up on both shows?
Yeah, I'm pretty much caught up.
Yeah, I caught up on The Gifted. I think last night. I had to finish the episode from Monday, but I'm all caught up with both shows.
I'm kind of secretly annoyed that Hulu does the stupid shit like normal TV where they only release one episode a week. I'm like, come on!
I know. I'm like, you're Hulu. Fuck off.
I know.
Yeah. I was annoyed with that at first, but I'm just like, it kind of builds a little more hype and anticipation to the next episode, and just because The Runaways has been really good, so
Yeah.
adds a little more to the hype.
I do agree there.
Definitely.
But part of me is always like, when it says now streaming, I always get that like, oh my god, I can watch it all at once, and then you can't because it's Hulu.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, but shut down quick.
Speaking of that, I mean, weren't they supposed to originally air it on Freeform? I don't know why they moved it.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to air on Freeform.
I guess they're not doing. I don't know if that network's doing good. There was a few shows I watched on there, and they're getting canceled. And they renamed it because it used to be ABC Family, and I guess they wanted to be more edgy because they have the Shadow
Yeah, I
Hunters
guess.
or something on there now. But the show that shall not be named is on that network. That whole
Yeah.
book series is. Anyways,
But I think Cloak and Dagger is still premiering on Freeform,
we'll see.
if I'm not mistaken.
I keep waiting for them to do the whole, because DC's doing it now. Isn't Marvel doing it? We're supposed to have their own streaming service. That shit pisses me off.
Well, yeah, because now you gotta let out another $10 to both the DC and Marvel just so I can watch this shit.
I know. Let's
Yeah,
all thank
it's
HBO for
stupid.
that crap.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, so we're going to start with round one here. Round one, we are discussing the plot. So we'll break down the plot. Who wants to take breaking down The Gifted? Anybody? What do y'all think of the plot?
Gifted, it's like post X-Men where, they're disbanded, quote unquote. They deal with a lot of, mutant haters, Sentinel services. They're being basically hunted down by the government, and, they're just trying to chill. That's all I got.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all they're trying to do is just chill, and they're being hunted down.
I can't tell. Like, are they doing like a Logan thing where the X-Men are dead or they're missing? Because I haven't been able to.
I think they're dead entirely. I think they're just there's no more X-Men at all. And I think the last surviving X-Men is Thunderbird, and he was just sent off to command the Mutant Underground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know they mentioned the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the X-Men, and then some kind of
Yeah.
event, which I hope they reveal later on what happened.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think that's Fox's way of edging around the awkward question of, our continuity's all fucked up and we know it, so we're just going
Yeah,
to
pretty
Yeah.
much.
say the event,
So
the vague
what-
event.
Are they, do you think they're taking place post? I don't know. It doesn't seem that futuristic, but I legit don't know. Would it be after Logan or just after is it current time, which would be I guess after the end of Days of Future Past?
Yeah, that's kind of confusing to me. I don't really know where it falls in the timeline.
Because I feel like they still wouldn't know that Logan's alive, since he's
Yeah.
under the radar.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question, which they haven't answered.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's does Polaris know that Magneto's her dad?
I don't think she knows because
Right.
there's not much shown from her past other than I guess the experiments and shit. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they've kind of, I think, acknowledged it, on the executive producer level, oh yeah, she's totally, but we're never going to mention it. You're just going to
Yeah,
know from
pretty
reading the comics. I honestly, I don't know either. I mean, I get the vibe that it's kind of like a Logan kind of thing, but maybe not quite as advanced as Logan, because it was pretty. I mean, it was pretty bad in the Logan movie. Like the whole mutants, they were mostly wiped out, from what I understood. And there's quite a bit of mutants in this show, so maybe it's kind of pre-Logan. But honestly, it's Fox. This shit's all fucked up, so who even knows?
Yeah, it could be that it falls like it's somewhere between like The Last Stand or like Daniela said, like Days of Future Past ish, somewhere around there. Because it doesn't seem to connect to like Logan. It wouldn't make sense for all those mutants to exist post Logan.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah, we got Sentinel Services, which I have to feel for that dude with the little girl. Like, I can see why he hates
Yeah.
mutants. That was sad.
Yeah, that
I
episode.
feel like he's not like super like evil, but he's ruthless. Like he won't just like shoot to kill, but still, it's like, yo, chill.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think he might have
that-
even sympathized until what's her face? I can never remember her name with the purple cloud. Like fucked with his head.
Dreamer.
I was like, you just like totally triggered him, and now he's really gonna kill you.
Yeah, at that point, it's like you fucked up so bad. Now you gotta make him relive that moment again and just like hate everybody times 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
But yeah,
trying.
she's kind of dumb. She's hot, but she's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's like a weird mutant.
I don't care for her too much either.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I was surprised they went the angle they did with is it the Struckers? That I did not expect the whole backstory we got with the dad or the granddad or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Am I the only one that's like super fucking annoyed with the wife though? Like she drives me insane. Every time she's on the screen, I want to like just be like, go
Not
away.
really. I mean, I'm just like, shut up for a second. Like overall, I don't really.
Yeah, she doesn't bother me that much, but I'm on the same boat. I'm just like, can you just shut up? Just shut up. Just let them do what they need to do. Just shut up. Stop like making excuses for everything, especially with the kids. Like the whole back and forth and the banter between them two all the time. Well, them three all the time is just like bitch, shut up, shut up. They're the ones that have the power. It's not you.
I know, and she's all like, they have to have some normalcy in their lives. I'm like, what is fucking normal about this
Yeah,
situation?
Yeah, it's like they need to fucking get away from the government. Let this shit settle down, because mutants got some shit to deal with.
Exactly. They got mutant problems to deal with. Not they don't have normal human problems to deal with anymore.
Mm-hmm. I was worried about the dad until he like let Polaris like rip those damn things out of his knee to break out of the prison bus. I was like, whoa, okay, you're dedicated.
Very dedicated. I actually like him a lot.
I do.
I wish he just had actually his mutant powers, but
I agree. That was kind of disappointing. I would have been so mad if I were him. I'd be like, you fucking took away my mutant powers? Are you
Pretty much.
kidding?
that actually had me upset. I'm watching the episode. I'm just like, you motherfucker. You want to stay with your powers, but you want to take away your kids' powers and shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, seriously.
That
Have they
was-
ever hinted at what happened to the grandparents, the original twins, the Fenris twins? Because they just talked about how they were terrorists, but I don't remember if they talked
Yeah, I
about
don't
they
think-
got killed.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they were killed. They probably were killed, but I don't think they mention it. They just gave a little backstory at who they were and like I think is Lauren and I forget the kid's name all the time. But how they like dumb reincarnated.
Mm-hmm. Talking about Dr. Campbell as well, and then the whole the Hound program. That was cool.
Yep. Yeah, that was cool too.
I really enjoyed that. I didn't even know, like, did they make Pulse up for the show, or is he an actual X-Men? Because I don't remember no Pulse.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
thinking
we
the same
don't-
thing.
We definitely don't have Marcos Diaz, but it's like, I don't know if he was supposed to be based off somebody. I knew that was like a big issue.
Yeah.
I was
Especially,
annoyed they
having-
didn't do
for, like, a
Sunspot.
main character.
If they were going to do Eclipse, then why didn't you just do Sunspot? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Hmm. And then I'm assuming, what's that blonde chick that wanted to break into the lab? Is she one of the cuckoos from one of the Stepford Cuckoos? Or is she Rachel, like,
Huh.
embodiment? I can't tell.
Are you talking about the new blonde they introduced, the one that's the mind reader,
Hmm.
the telepath? Not
Hmm.
sure.
I'm getting the cuckoo vibes, because why would she be like so freaking out about her quote unquote family that's trapped in this lab? Maybe it's her siblings.
Could be. Because she definitely has some hidden agenda she's not revealing. You can tell just by the way the
Yeah,
show's
she
making it
put that-
seem.
Yeah, I could see that.
And she looks so much like an Emma Frost kind of character, so that's why I was
She
thinking.
does. She
Yeah,
really does.
Huh? I didn't think
Maybe it's
of
an Ember Frost replacement,
that. Like in fucking X-Men Origins, whatever
right?
that was.
Whatever.
Oh my god, I actually
It
read
was
that
more
comic.
Dazzler than Ember Frost.
That comic of X-Men Origins, if you've ever read it with Emma Frost, I was like, girl, no, it's so bad. Some of these X-Men writers, I'm like, y'all running out of material because she's apparently in that comic like a brunette, and she dyes herself blonde,
What?
which like betrayed everything about Emma, in my opinion. Don't
Yeah, it
ask,
really
it's
does.
bad. But what
That's
about
crazy.
let's talk about Runaways. Who wants to take Runaways? Oz, you want to take Runaways? Explain.
Yeah, I'll take Runaways. So, Runaways is a group of teenagers, mutants as well, based off their comic book origins. They're mutants. They're just chilling, having high school drama, and they find out their parents are like serial killers and shit. And that's it. They're in some deep shit. So now it's the parents versus the kids.
Cult, like serial.
Yeah, like they're like cult. Yeah, it's like a hidden nympho cult and shit. I don't get why they get naked in the show sometimes, but
They
yeah.
love them.
Have any of y'all read
But
the comics? I haven't read the comics.
I haven't. Well, I've been like wanting to because everyone's like, "Oh, it's on Comixology," and wherever else I get comics. But I haven't like started it. I kind of want to like. You can always get like breakdowns on YouTube and like superhero origins. Because sometimes I'm just so lazy to fucking read. Like, I kind of have been just sticking to like reading on what I have to review.
Yeah, like me, I've never read like their actual comics, but I've like come across them like in the comics, like reading other shit. So that's what intrigued me to want to watch the show in the first place. But like after this recent episode, I started doing some research, and I'm just like, holy shit, they got some good lore in the comics, and I can see why people like it so much. So I'll probably go out and buy a couple volumes of trades or whatever to do some more research.
While I was reading, I thought it was interesting that they didn't do good in the single issues. It wasn't until the trade came out and so many people bought the trade that's when they came back because they canceled it. It's fucking Marvel.
Yep.
You know, they have to run
Marvel.
like 9 billion comics until nobody can, count anything, get their eyes straight, especially like that hot mess that was Secret Empire. It's not even get started.
Yeah, I hate Marvel's unorganized way of like doing like certain comic book storylines or like big events when it comes to comics. It's just so unorganized. I don't even bother half the time.
Yeah, it's super messy, and I found it really interesting myself just because of they were kind of like a Firefly kind of thing going with comics because they got picked back up because of the trade sales. So I haven't read the comics either, but a little bit I've read of them. They sounded interesting, and I thought the same thing when I was watching it. I was like, not that I don't like The Gifted, but this, and they're, I guess, kind of in the same way, except I felt the Runaways was more personal because these are people you love and you thought you knew and you cared about, and then they turn out to be like super bad people.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so you're like, well, fuck, my dad kills people for a living. Like, I don't know about this.
It's just a twist of events. It's just like, I feel like it's more relatable because like everybody at some point, we're all teenagers at some point, and at some point we hate our parents, and it's like we see our parents are, well, my parents just out to get me. They understand my perspective, so it's like it's play on that, but with a huge twist. Like, oh well, my parents are actual villains this time, and they sacrifice people to whatever god they're trying to sacrifice to.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I was reading a little bit about the characters as well, about how they've changed some of the things. So I don't want to get in that too much this round, but I do like what they've done with the show. I think that they made it more accessible in a TV format than the comics necessarily. So I think that they did good. I mean,
I definitely enjoy it more than I thought I would initially.
Me too.
My only complaint was I didn't like that the first 2 episodes. I mean, I guess I can't completely complain. It just seemed like they were treading water, where the first episode was told from the kids' perspective, and then the second one was told from the adults. That was a little, that was my only complaint. It got good, after the second episode.
I feel like that was probably their way of like merging like the story together. Like, this is what the parent standpoint, this is the teenager standpoint. Then they'll clash at this point, and they'll set everything in motion.
I do agree. It just kind of felt, I don't know, like they could have trimmed down some of the this happened. Like, we just fucking watched the episode. Of course we know it just happened. So they could have, like, skipped some of that. That was my only opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess we'll vote now. We're going to have votes each round. We're going to see, because, it's one of those, it's really easy for you to be like, oh, high level, this one's better than that one. But we want to go into a little more depth here. So we've basically come up with some rounds here, and we're going to try to measure them up against one another, because I think we all were leaning one way on which is the better show. But I thought, no, that's too simple. We can't do something simple. We got to do it complicated here.
Yeah.
Of course.
So plot-wise, who do you guys pick? Ozzy, who do you pick? Do you think Gifted or Runaways?
I would go with the Runaways. I think the Runaways have a better structure. Even though I've enjoyed the Gifted and what they're doing, but it's just my personal gripes with the X-Men and what Fox has done with them. But I think the Runaways has a better plot right now, I guess.
What about you, Daniela?
Oh, shit. Well, I do like how Gifted is tying into Fox's universe, but so that is a universe that's very fucking unorganized and kind of complicated to follow. Like we said, too many, like incontinuities, so that kind of drops a couple of points. Runaways, it like is fresh, but at the same time, it doesn't connect to pretty much the rest of Marvel's stuff. But I think I like the plot of mutants being hunted better, so I'll have to go with Gifted.
All right, one for Gifted.
All right.
One for Runaways. So I guess I will be the tiebreaker here. I mean, I have gripes for both. Runaways, like I said, I didn't like the second episode. I mean, you only have, I think, 8 episodes this season, so it seemed a little bit of a waste with that one. They could have put more building in there than just regurgitating the same shit we just watched in the previous episode. But Runaways does tie to the MCU, which is, I mean, we all know that's a well-oiled machine. So that one's much better run than Fox. Fox kind of was I have a love-hate relationship with Fox. Fox was the one that proved that comic book movies are awesome. But then they also were the ones that proved that they could be complete shit.
True. Totally agree.
And they've, like, fucked up so bad by not having, like, a vision that it's really hurting them in the long run. And I feel bad because it feels like they finally got it. They finally are starting to get it right. And now they're going to get bought by Disney, so it's like all for nothing.
Yeah, it's all in vain at this point.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I feel like The Gifted is juggling too much. I mean, they are on a main TV show, so they have the problem of most main TV networks have to have like a 22 episode run, and that always hurts them. I feel like they should stick to maybe like 12 episodes, like cable. So I'm gonna have to go with Runaways. I think it's cleaner.
Yeah, I think the Gifted probably would have served better, or could have been held back until this deal was sealed, and could have been brought into like a Netflix or like a Hulu or something.
That's
my
like big fear.
Episodes probably would have worked out better.
With the merger, is that like all these really good shows or these good movies are going to go away because Disney's going to be like, that's crap, forget you.
I don't think so. I don't think Disney. Well, when it comes to the X-Men, I think Kevin Feige himself wants to reboot the X-Men. Fantastic Four is a given. Like, that's going to be rebooted. That's a given. But with the X-Men themselves, I think he'll want to reboot after this Dark Phoenix movie. As for Deadpool, I think Disney will be logical and stick to what works with Deadpool. Mm-hmm. Too much money to lose at this point.
Yeah, exactly. After that was like the freaking highest rated R movie. So that's why, they can't really.
Yeah, it will be done. Like I keep telling people on social media, especially my Instagram, because people, every time I post about it, everybody keeps like nagging or complaining. Well, there goes Deadpool. We'll get a PG-13 Deadpool. I'm just like, listen. Disney also owns a studio that only produces R-rated movies, and you don't know that because Disney's name is not on it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But it's still owned by Disney. It will be a dumb move by Disney to invest $74 billion into something like that and get all those rights back to those characters, and just downgrade Deadpool to a PG-13 film that no one is going to watch. So there's too much money to lose, and Disney is way smarter than that.
Yeah. I have faith in them. I mean, I'm worried it's going to alter them in some way. But, I mean, look what they have done with Star Wars. They've done a pretty good bit with Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars has been pretty good.
I have faith that they'll do the mutants right. it's just kind of one of those things. It's like if Fox had just gotten their shit together earlier, but shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, pretty much. Too late for that.
Well, it's always been even said by Hugh Jackman himself, like he would come back as Logan if they did a crossover. So does that mean we'll get fucking Wolverine in an Avengers movie?
Well, I don't know. Based from what I've been seeing online, these reports and rumors that have been going around is that we'll get an X-Mansion tease, an introduction, along with the Baxter Building in Avengers 4. So they're considering introducing the X-Men via Wolverine in Avengers 4. Could that mean Hugh Jackman will come back? Maybe. Will they recast Wolverine and give us a 5'3" Wolverine? We don't know.
I really hope they go Old Man Logan and Laura.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Dude,
That would be awesome.
that's all I need. That's all I need.
I would much rather see Marvel just take X-23 and develop her as a new Wolverine, just like she is in the comics, than to just go back and just recast Hugh Jackman and just have like the male Wolverine. We've seen him enough. We need something fresh.
I agree. I mean, honestly, when you're talking about that whole like playing him in later, I mean, part of me wonders like if they're gonna when they're fighting Thanos, because he's gonna have the goddamn Infinity Gauntlet. Maybe he changes something and that gives birth to the mutants in the MCU.
It could be. That's what people are speculating. That's how people were speculating back in the summer that's how the Fantastic Four would be introduced into the MCU. Because in Avengers Infinity War, they're rumored to be jumping from universe to universe, Thanos especially, using the reality gem and the Space Stone and all that. So word is he'll alter the reality somewhere, some way, shape, or form, and where those mutants would exist, and then the Fantastic Four would exist. Maybe the ultimate versions of those characters, but they'll exist nonetheless.
I'm definitely excited though to see that. That would be cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even though I know we're all on this call still bitter about Inhumans.
Oh my god.
They had what?
I had to rub salt in the wound.
Literally one job. They had one job, and they failed so miserably with that show.
Oh my god.
I
So
know.
bad. I didn't even finish it.
I didn't
watched,
either. I
like,
think I watched like 2 episodes and I was just like, fuck this. When they made Maximus human, I was like, yo, motherfuckers! No!
Wild. He's not inhuman. Wild. That was such a bad decision. Even shaving Medusa's hair was a bad decision. Like what? Like what?
That's how they got around like being
That's
lazy about it.
fucked up.
What? Like you shave her hair off? Like what? Like what? Were people complaining that much that you decided to shave her head off and shit?
Okay, the CGI is really bad. Plan for you guys.
The CGI is very bad. People don't like it, and it's costing too much money. Shave it off. Save us a couple $100,000 and shit.
I have to admit though that the promo pictures for that though, I was like, girl, why is it orange? And apparently they must have like auto-tuned it or some shit, because I was like, it was red in the show, but in those promo photos I was like, it's orange. What the hell?
Yeah, it looks so bad, man. That was such a disappointment, because it would have worked so much better in movie format than having them on a TV show. Mm-hmm. Or even it could have even worked as a TV show if they had it like on Netflix or something, or Hulu, where you can like kind of like play with the budget a little more and kind of give actual good effects. Like look at Old Lace and Runaways. Like Old Lace and Runaways looks very, very good, and that's like, so a lot of they could have went a whole bunch of different routes with it, but they just like did not execute it.
I would have even preferred to instead of them going to Earth, like do the Alpha Prime story where they're slave race, because that I loved that comic where they had their little. It was very kind of a Brave New World, if anybody's ever read that book, where it was like a futuristic society and they would like engineer humans and they would kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, kind of like give you fetal alcohol syndrome and stupid you down.
I think I've come across that. It sounds familiar. I think I've come across that before.
Yeah, and so they would make these worker races in that world building, and this thing was written in like 1900. It's actually creepy if you compare it to modern times. And basically
Yeah.
they would make you so stupid that you would not regret being where you were in life. And that's what the Albert Primitives were in the Inhumans. They would make these really stupid people so that they would do manual labor and not care that they were stuck with that job. But eventually they revolt. Like, I would have loved to see that shit because it would
Yeah,
tie so
that definitely
well.
would have worked. Yeah, that would have worked. I
I mean,
still think they could actually save the Inhumans. Like, just use Thanos and just like wipe that slate completely off,
mhm.
and just introduce the Inhumans into the MCU the right way. Recast everybody who have to.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, please
definitely their one stumble that
Because
they've made.
the thing is, Infinity War is gonna rely heavily on Jonathan Hickman's Infinity storyline from 2013. So, the Inhumans are a big part of that storyline. And I was excited when they announced the Inhumans. I'm like, okay, I get to see Black Bolt go up against Thanos. And like, nope, that's not happening.
I agree. They just did him wrong in that show because he was so
yeah,
underpowered.
the whole sign language thing was horrendous. Like, like there's like no telepathy. He's a fucking telepath.
Yeah. Oh my
Like
God.
what? Like, how you gonna take that away?
Yeah.
That's stupid. That's just bad.
Yeah, that shit. I couldn't
Crazy.
finish it. I couldn't finish it. I powered through 4, maybe 5 episodes, and I'm just like, I can't do it to myself anymore. It's torture at this point.
I love myself more than this.
Yeah, exactly. I would rather binge watch The Gifted than watch The Inhumans.
Oh
I'll
man.
binge watch Iron Fist and Inhumans.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty
Yeah.
bad. That was he was like he's the butt of jokes, man. And like Jonathan said, like, why is he Iron Fist? Where's his other fist? Does he have like performance issues?
Yeah, why? Yeah, like in the comics, he uses both fists. Like, why does he just have one fist and he doesn't even use it all the time? Like, he has to be having his ass kicked and shit in order for him to use it. So like, doesn't make any sense.
Man, I'm getting us way off track, but we'll give round 1 to the Runaways. Good job, Marvel Studios, Fox. Well, I'd say you're doing good, but you're kind of already, on your way out. So
Pretty much.
enjoy it with the way it is now. So round 2 here, we're going to talk about world building. So we're wanting to discuss kind of the setting that these shows take place in and compare them and contrast them. So we'll start again with The Gifted this time. I'll break down The Gifted since you guys were so gracious to break down round 1. So world building, again, why did I pick Gifted? Of course, it's a hot mess, so it's going to be a little hard to explain. You don't really know when it takes place. You just know it's kind of in the future. Mutants exist. And it's, it's the typical X-Men shit, so it's an allegory for prejudice in the real world, like, sexual orientation and ethnic minorities, except in this boat it's mutants, so it's easier to talk about because it's about fantastical people instead of real people. And the government has hired a Sentinel Services type of, it seems to be sort of private security, sort of government run, where if they quote it under if they're an endangerment to the public, but I think we all know it's kind of a witch hunt. And these mutants that have managed to escape either notice or detection in the public, or they're harmless, usually are left alone, but a lot of them are in this underground. It's kind of like the Underground Railroad, except for mutants. So they're I'm assuming shacked up in this, what is it, like an abandoned police station or bank or something?
It's like a warehouse, I think, or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and they're basically trying to escape Sentinel Services. The whole thing that drags you in is the main family. Their kids turn out to be mutants, and unfortunately, it's a bad episode of how their mutant abilities come into play. I think, what is the kid's name? Andy? Is it the boy's name is Andy?
Yeah.
I think so.
Think so,
I can
yeah.
never remember
Shit.
his
So,
name.
like, who cares?
Yeah, he's very annoying.
I have to admit, I don't really care for him too much.
Plus, he's not as front and center as his sister, so.
Yeah. And it's so funny because he tries to build himself up as a badass, and then in the end he pusses out last episode. So I was like, dude, really? We're going for the badass card, and it just got rejected big time.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
He decided he can't go full Monty on that. And he's like getting bullied, and that's when his powers come out. And then the sister, shows her powers, and they're on the run from there. And it's very breakneck, and it's a pretty harsh world. I mean, like, you can tell it's a little bit like current worlds where everything's sugar-coated on top, and then underneath in the real world it's kind of fucked up. So I'm going to pass it on to you guys. What do you guys think of the world building of The Gifted?
Kind of like I said before, where like it is tied into Fox, but that whole shit's fucked up. But I did like how it was a whole witch hunt against mutants. I don't know, since it's like on that TV budget, I feel like they could have done more with it.
I gotta agree with you there.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think the whole the outright sugarcoating the witch hunt basically is what really drives the narrative here, and that's what keeps me personally interested in how they keep trying to avoid it. But it just, I don't know. I have this thing when I'm watching the show, how I like how the background looks and shit like that, and I want the world. It looks so very dull, and it's just like these normal people who just can do colorful things and shit.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it is at its core. Like, there's nothing really that stands out or is extravagant. Like, the story's okay. Like Daniela said, it ties into the actual X-Men and Fox's universe, but it's still very disconnected at the same time, because you don't know where it falls in said timeline, and that's not our fault. That's Fox's fuck up, because they have like 3 different timelines and shit. But yeah, I think it could be better. Should have been better. Could have been executed better. But for what it is, just gotta take it.
Yeah, that's how it is with just liking Fox's stuff. Just gotta take it as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I can kind of agree with you guys. I've noticed my biggest disappointment, I guess, isn't so much the persecution and the strife that these mutants face. They do a really good job of like making you connect with, just because somebody's different, that they're treated like shit or they're hunted down and put in goddamn prison camps, kind of like in World War II with like the Japanese. But I think what I was mostly disappointed with is Sentinel services. Because they're like, they're either like super fucking badass or so goddamn inept you wonder how they're employed.
Pretty much.
Because it's like, how can you have a search grid and not find the one building that they've been in the whole series so far?
Exactly.
Like, wouldn't you have gone, this is the one place I haven't searched yet. Maybe I should go check it out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, granted, I know they have mutants that make you kind of forget, but you would think if it's outside of that area, you would have this target on your map saying we can't get in here. So what's up with this? But
yeah, I agree with that aspect too. That was like, I'm okay with having the Sentinel services there, but it's just a very huge downplay from what we typically get in the comics or in the animated series when it comes to Sentinels hunting these mutants down.
And why do the Sentinels look like weird octopuses?
I don't know.
No.
TV budget, I guess.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly.
I would have thought that like a humanoid would be easier.
Services, we're getting the Sentinel. Oh no, we're getting those little fucking spiders.
Yeah, little fucking like
angry spaghetti.
Yeah. I'm just like, what?
Betty Spaghetti.
This is like a bad X-Men animated series ripoff and shit. We can't use humanoid Sentinels and shit, but we'll use robotic fucking arachnids.
I know.
They're tiny at that.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, but like I said, TV budget. It'll cost too much to just have one Sentinel on screen for 30 minutes.
Well, if it is a 22 episode series, if it goes that long, then maybe we could. But
I'm worried they're not going to do good though, because the ratings haven't been high. So as far as like people tuning in,
I think it keeps dropping down every week or something.
Oh, that sucks.
I mean, maybe they'll keep it around like one more season, but I just don't know if it's going to stick long term. Because when I saw the ratings, I was like, well, fuck. Oh well.
Well, another one bites the dust for Fox.
Yeah. Move over, Fox. We got some new bosses in town. They'll probably do a little better.
Pretty much.
But I mean, I feel bad because it's really not that bad of an X-Men show. I didn't feel this way this early on about Legion as I do about The Gifted. Legion was really goddamn confusing at first, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Yeah. And then it got like amazing.
Trip.
Which I think that's what appealed to a lot of people, though. Just the confusion and like the intrigue of like, what's this? Let me try to connect the pieces here and see how everything unravels.
I guess I kind of disagree with that. I mean, I need a plot to kind of like keep me invested, and at first, and like artistically it was amazing, but like you were like for the first several episodes, you're like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. So you didn't even know when to pay attention until like later on, and you're like, shit, now I gotta go rewatch like 2 episodes to
It's
understand.
like watching Game of Thrones. When you're new, watching Game of Thrones, you don't know what the fuck is going on, so you got to rewatch season 1 like 3 times.
Yeah. I already got that going for one show, so I don't want to have to do it for another one.
Pretty much.
Kind of how I feel about Punisher, but I'm not even done.
I have
not
even started.
I'm like
I feel like-
halfway through the season.
It's got to be
Is
that
it,
bad
like-
if like all of us haven't binged it. I mean, maybe not bad. It's just I don't know if I would have put the Punisher in a standalone series. That's just me.
Well,
I
I
was
personally,
excited for that. I was just, it's not meeting up to what I want, but that's fine.
yeah, I mean, I was excited for it just because he was like spectacular in Daredevil season 2.
Yep.
But I never really binge watch any of these shows
Same.
on Netflix. I'll watch like 6 episodes at a like. I'll binge 6 episodes, take a month off, and then I'll binge the other 6. Just because it's just too much. Like, that's just too much to comprehend and understand and take in for 13 hours in a week. On top of
Yeah.
everything else, I gotta ingest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
can
how
agree.
feel.
Plus, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I already spent too much time working and running an Instagram page to sit down for 13 hours in one day and just watch a show.
There's too many
But
damn
that's just
TV
how
shows.
yeah.
these
There's a
days.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot. Just too many.
Well, we'll talk about Runaways now on the world building. Who wants to take Runaways, breaking down their world?
Yeah, okay, I'll do it. It don't matter. So they're centered in Los Angeles, California, which is like a beautiful setting, by the way.
Mhm.
The reason I personally like the setting because it's there's a lot of potential for expansion within the MCU on the West Coast side of things, but it's a
Yeah.
very scenic type. You know, you got those LA kids. You know, the typical flamboyant, rich kind of high schoolers and shit. So, I mean, it's very appealing. I think the world is fine. You know, the scenery. You got your LA gangsters. You got your Crips, which is funny that the MCU has Crips now.
I know, right?
Right? I was just like, what? Like the MCU has Crips? That's fucking hilarious. But it gives it a very grounded and relatable feel, I guess, for people, especially with people who live on the West Coast. But it's much brighter and cleaner and colorful than The Gifted, for sure.
That's what I like.
Oh yeah, that's what I like
Right.
too. It's just like even the parts when they're on the beach, the episode when they're on the beach, I'm just like, this is like very like this is just natural beauty in the background. It's just I love it.
Hmm.
But yeah, compared to like the Gifted and you know that setting, which is like very gray and like downplayed, and they're just in a warehouse all the time, or they're in a jail cell or some shit. I think the Runaways takes like the world building a little better, takes the cake on that one compared to the Gifted.
I have to agree.
I definitely think Runaways is much prettier. I mean, like the scenes are pretty. These are rich kids. They live in the cream of the crop. You got this chick that runs some creepy ass Scientology group, and all the rich and famous tune into that kind of weird like level. That's what it felt like to me, because when they're like, "You're gonna go ultra" or whatever it was, Violet or some
Yeah, it's
shit.
like, yeah, you gotta go ultra. It's like very Ocean County and shit. The OC.
And I was just thinking like, and then she had her quote unquote meditation room, which we all know it turns out to be, I guess like her alien
Where she
husband
has
or something.
crusty sex with.
Like what the fuck? I'm just like, this is weird. Like, got this crusty Doctor Doom over here, and you, like
I
what?
was gonna say.
I was so
I'm watching
grossed
this
out by
episode,
that.
I'm like, hold up. I'm like, hold up. Did it just reveal Doctor Doom here? Like, that took me by surprise, but it's just funny.
Yeah. I just watched a movie about a chick in like this amphibian man, and that was actually more tolerable than that scene, because I was just like, wow.
Yeah, that scene was very, very weird. Like,
I at first thought he was like an old guy because he looked kind of like shriveled up, and then I thought like maybe
Yeah.
that's her dad or like her brother. And then when they were like having that scene, I was like, oh, okay, now we
yeah,
know.
That's what I thought. I'm just like, maybe it's just like some like her dad or something who's like on the just in limbo between life and death, and she just trying to save him at all costs, trying to do some X-Men Apocalypse shit and just try to switch the bodies or something. Which in turn, that's what they do, but in a much cleaner way.
I do like that they're slowly revealing like some of the parents' motivations, so it's not so black and white. Like they're not just villains. Like maybe they have different motivations of why they did what they did.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like too. Like every couple has like their own agenda when it comes to being a part of Pride and like their end goal and whatever. And like the way they play on how each couple differentiates like their way of hiding that secret from like their kid, especially Gert's parents. Like, you know, they like, I wish they go in depth with their like little backstory a little more than they've already done, especially with creating old lace and all that, and how you know Gert can mentally control this dinosaur out of thin air, basically, because that's how she finds out she can control it out of thin air. But I think that's pretty cool how they play up on that. Speaking
of Gert's parents, I do wish they go there. Just go. You've already gotten like some weird crusty sex scene, and now you have a chick that's like rainbow bright. So apparently, I read that her parents are time traveling criminals. Like, come on, let's just go there. And I guess they're giving it to the mad scientist. But I was a little disappointed.
They were like these mad scientists from like the 50s or something like that. Maybe older than that. Something like that. But like they come to the future and they do all this time traveling and shit, and I'm like, Marvel, we need to like emphasize that on this show, even if it's not this season, like tease it, and if it does go for a second season, like emphasize on that.
I agree,
because they do survive after, like from what I've read online. This might be spoilers for the show, but you know they survive the whole defeat of Pride and whatever, and they do their time travel stuff. And that's how they're able to survive for generations and shit. Yeah. So I hope they kind of play on that a little bit.
I agree. That's the only thing I've been a little disappointed at. The rest of them have done pretty good. I really like, it took me forever until I finally was like, holy fuck, it's Spike! I didn't realize that the guy's dad was Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm like, dude, you've let yourself go a little bit, but okay. What happened? But I have to remind myself that was like what, early 2000s or maybe 90s?
Yeah, that was like late 90s, early 2000s.
All the fangirls out there are like, what happened? But he's an old. I didn't realize too. He does have a younger face, because when I looked him up, I think he's like almost 60. So I was like, shit. Okay, then I take it back. You look pretty good. But I guess I think we've done pretty good talking this round. What, Ozzy? What do you pick? Who wins the world bending round?
Runaways for sure. That's 2 for Runaways for me.
Runaways.
You got Runaways too? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be the odd man out and stick with The Gifted, because I've always liked the X-Men theme of how it's an allegory for real life, and they still do a good job of putting that in the show, where just because they're different, they're feared. Runaways is good and it is relatable, but I really I've always liked that from the X-Men, and thank you, Chris Claremont, for that. So, but that means that the Runaways has won 2 rounds now.
Oh.
We'll see if the Gifted can catch up, but I don't know.
Oh, I know, it's look kind of dim right now.
Yeah. All right, next round we got teams. So we're wanting to break down. We have like a group of teams on the Runaways and the Gifted. The Gifted's got the Mutant Underground. The Runaways has, even though I felt kind of stupid, I always thought the Runaways referred to the kids. It's actually about the kids that are getting killed, not the actual teens.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, they don't refer to themselves as the Runaway. They're referring to a whole bunch of dead kids as the Runaways and shit. So I'm like, that's weird, but that's how it is in the comics. So.
Yep. So who wants to break down the Gifted, their team?
You have like some of the descendants of like legendary X-Men. Like they have Polaris and Thunderbird, whose one dad is Magneto and the other one is James Proudstar. Why can't I think of his mutant name? Who knows?
Thunderbird.
Wait.
Thunderbird from the Hellions, I think.
I thought it was Warpath. Like the other guy, his brother.
I get them confused, but I think Thunderbird started on the Hellions, if I remember correctly. He's probably part of the X-Men now. I mean, there's so many teams on the X-Men back in the 80s and 90s when they had like Excalibur and X-Men and Hellions and the Exiles and all of them. So honestly, he's just part of the mutant ground. Just ignore what I just said.
Okay. So they're pretty much like they could kick somebody's ass. You know, one controls metal, one's super freaking strong and has psionic abilities. Those are like the two people of the team. Then we have the Struckers, the Strucker twins, who you know, we haven't gotten like a whole synopsis of their powers, but basically one destroys things with his mind and the other makes force fields, and she's pretty much confident with her powers. Then we have Eclipse, who kind of makes things hot and blows shit up. Molly's a mutant. We have Bert, who can control a dinosaur. Then we have Alex, who's super smart. Then we have Nico, who's a witch. And then Homenus in here. One who's like a half alien, Carolina. And then Chase, who builds shit really cool.
Yep, I agree. I think they changed Chase. That was the only thing I read, that they changed Chase the most, because apparently he's just kind of like a brawler type, and he steals the gauntlets in the comics. But in this one, they wanted to make him more like of an odd duck because he's a jock, but then he's supposed to be like an engineering genius. So I did like that. I think that was a good change.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
What about you, Ozzy? Who do you prefer? What do you like about the Gifted and their team?
From their team, I like Polaris. Polaris is pretty cool. Eclipse is like, it's all right.
Yeah.
Thunderbird obviously is pretty awesome. I like Thunderbird. I like Blink.
Oh,
Blink is probably
sorry.
Blink is probably my favorite other than Polaris. I like Lauren. She's all right because, you know, she does the force fields. Like Daniela said, she's more confident in herself and her power as opposed to her Schiffer Brain's brother and shit. Who else? Yeah, Blink, Polaris, like I said, Thunderbird. Dreamer, she's just pretty much eye candy at this point in the show, honestly.
I get it.
She's kind of like useless.
I'm also disappointed they downplay Sage so much. She's supposed to be like able to be like a genius and connect with like systems, and she's just like a hacker chick.
Yeah, true. As for the Runaways, I like the entire team when it comes to the Runaways. Really, my favorite is probably I like Alex's wits, and you know she's like kind of like a super witty genius, like a Tony Stark of sorts. Mm-hmm. So I like him. I like Gert. You know, I've been a fan of her from what I've come across her in the comics. So I like how she's able to control, you know, old lace. That's pretty cool to me.
Carolina, do you get disappointed though? She seems kind of, I don't know, to me like a Moon Girl ripoff. Yeah, who came first? I don't even know.
I don't know who came first. It might have been Moon Girl. I'm not too sure, honestly, who came first. But it kind of plays with that idea the same, just a little twist on it. Mm-hmm. But Chase is pretty awesome once he dons his Fistigons and he uses them. Carolina, the
Iron Fist that we deserve.
He's literally the Iron Fist we deserve.
Or the Shocker we deserve.
Or the Shocker we deserve, because the Shocker in Homecoming was pretty weak too. Carolina is just is like Gert said in the last episode. She's pretty and she glows and shit. And Molly's pretty awesome too. I like her superhuman like strength, you know, and she is a mutant too. So even though it's not outright said in the show, but from the source material, you know, she's a mutant.
No, they're not able to say that because they weren't able to. And
well, yeah, they're not able to reference or use the word mutants up until maybe next week when they fully buy out Fox and whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the team is pretty awesome. I think both teams are pretty awesome. Who do I like the most? I would have to go with the Gifted on that one, just because they're a little more developed story-wise, since the show has been out for a little longer than the Runaways. But there's a lot of potential for the Runaways once they start developing the characters even more.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. What about you, Danielle? Which team do you prefer?
I think as of now, like you said, you know, Runaways has more room for development, but I'm gonna have to give it to Gifted. I know they're kind of like not as structured, but they always like make up for it. They always pull something out of their ass, which makes them like totally like kick everybody's ass at the end of the day. So I'd have to go with them.
Plus, I like, I know more about like mutants and all that, so I'd give it to them.
For me personally, I did notice that. So I read about again the individual characters. So I read that they changed Chase a little bit, and the Carolina, whatever the fuck her name is, the glow chick, the glow stick on the go lady. She apparently is gay in the comics, and so I don't really know what they're doing with her because I know they're trying to do that triangle thing. They always got to have some fucking love triangle in all these shows.
With like Gert and Carolina.
Yeah. I think they're trying to set that up. Yeah.
So I guess they're not not ambitious enough to go quite there, the full way she is in the comics. But I'm kind of in agreement with you guys. I have to give it to the Gifted because they're more established. These are tougher characters. They've had it a little harder. And it's nothing against the Runaways. They're brand new in it, and they're kids. But definitely the Gifted, I would place my bets on for sure. So poor Runaways, you guys didn't even get 1 point this round. If y'all meet the Gifted in the dark alley, you better start running.
Still fresh. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give that one to the Gifted. So Gifted 1, Runaways 2. Runaways is still in the long haul, kicking y'all's ass. Sorry, Gifted. Sorry, Fox. Y'all just too late to the game.
At least things are tied up now.
Yeah. That's the thing that just disappoints me. It makes me so bitter. Even like, I don't know. I know, Daniela, you're more of the like, they're going to fuck this shit up. Just, why are you even getting hyped? They're going to fuck it up. She's like, fuck the Phoenix, fuck Fox. And I'm like so excited, but at the same time, I don't know. They may do like an Age of Apocalypse and then they ruin it.
Yeah, they're going to fuck up Phoenix some way, somehow. Same with New Mutants.
Because she has like no fucking personality in Apocalypse. So I'm like, okay.
What is
like around you? And then I'm like, I can't.
It's because it's Sophie Turner being Sophie Turner and playing Sansa Stark.
Stark this time, girl.
Yeah, it's like the thing that really pisses me off about her acting in this movie is like while she was doing promo for this, and she's like, "Oh, I love the role so much because I don't have to play someone who's crying all the time." But it's like you're still so bland. You're still playing Sansa in the roles. It's not like you're like this badass and shit, and you're still whiny and shit.
I know.
So it's like I don't really get like I don't know if the writers like wrote her that way, knowing like that's her forte because that's really where she, like her expertise is at. But
yeah,
I'm just not a huge fan of her as Jean Grey. We could have had a better casting option there.
Yeah, maybe they'll CGI the shit out of her and give her some emotion in her face.
Oh God.
Just no Superman CGI and we'll be good.
Yeah, hopefully not.
One up on us now.
Hopefully not.
Dude, your fucking Superman CGI pose every time kill me. Those are fucking gold.
Which one, though?
All of them.
It's just that picture alone is just pure gold. It's just like a meme factory for that one. You can do so many memes out of them.
Oh, I know. I feel so bad, but they are totally inheriting the Fox title. Like, y'all. Oh, yeah. Man, it's like the Fox joke that won't ever go away. Somebody's got to always be doing something horrible.
Pretty much. A year from now, Superman CGI face will still be relevant.
You know, I didn't notice it too bad through most of the film, but it was that beginning, like, Snapchat-y thing. Which, why the fuck are you putting a Snapchat in a goddamn superhero movie? Like, no.
Like, why?
You should have just gone the full mile and given him a flower clown or something. I mean...
Was Snapchat even around then?
I don't even know.
Well, it takes place like, well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell.
I thought like that one came out in 2013.
Well, yeah, Snapchat was around at the time.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh my God.
There's my question answered.
Yeah, that was lame. DC's a hot ass mess. Maybe I'm now even worried about Flashpoint. I think everything's gonna ride on fixing it through Flashpoint, but I wouldn't want to be that director or writer.
Well, yeah, they just reaffirmed that this weekend at the Brazil Comic X Expo, whatever the hell that Comic-Con is this weekend. But
not Comic-Con? Yeah. Have you read about the Comic-Con shit here?
No.
He doesn't even know.
Friends, they host this event called Palm Springs Comic-Con, but they actually are like endorsed by San Diego Comic-Con, but I don't know if they're gonna pull some shit and be like, never mind.
That is some bullcrap. So, well, if you don't know, Ozzy, SDCC sued Salt Lake Comic Con for using the phrase Comic Con in their thing, and they won.
I came across that. I didn't read too into it to see what was the verdict was, but
I can't believe that they won. And that's the thing is, it's like, why single out this one con when so many cons use it? And then on top of that, you're the most widely known Comic Con in the fucking world. Are you serious?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like you're just being petty. Like, calm down.
That is some horse shit.
Yeah.
That really disappointed me.
Some douchebag move from San Diego.
Yes. I mean, the only thing that was good of it is that they asked for $12 million in damages, which is insane, and they only got 20,000. So it's kind of one of those, like, you're really wasting our time with this shit, but I was just like, come on, SDCC. Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, nobody could top you. Like, just calm down.
Yeah, not even New York Comic Con will top that shit.
Like, I'm not gonna go to Salt Lake City for a Comic-Con unless it's, like, that lit.
Yeah, for real.
I was so floorboard by that, and I can't believe you can copyright such a generic term, but
it is generic because from what I read, it's been used for 50 years before they even started using it. So.
Yeah, New York was the first Comic-Con out there. So what? New York gonna sue you now too? I mean, this is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy. I mean, I went to San Diego Comic-Con this past summer, but
Hold up.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed New York Comic-Con more than I enjoyed San Diego Comic-Con.
The Dallas one is complete shit. I like the actual smaller ones that are called comic shows, so they won't get sued and shut down. But
exactly.
When I saw that, I was so disappointed with them. I've always wanted to go to SDCC, but now I still like the event people that run the events, but I just thought the showrunners for that, I'm like y'all don't have enough money. Like, come on. That's dumb. It's a small enough community as it is, and then you're going to pull that kind of crap where these other ones could potentially risk going bankrupt. Like, that's just some horse shit.
Yeah,
that's a fucked up move.
You're too money hungry.
I couldn't believe that. Anyways, let's get on to round 4 here. So our round 4 is going to be discussing motivations and inspirations between each of the shows. I will take The Gifted on character motivations. I feel like The Gifted, in my opinion, has a little more for the Runaway than the Runaways, because Runaways, don't get me wrong, it's awkward and it is bad. You don't know what to do because these are your parents, but The Gifted, like, they're fighting for life and death here. So it's very much you have to do what you need to do, or otherwise your fucking ass is dead, or you're going to be like put off in some experimental thing and turn into some weird drug addicted like assassin thing, or you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life. It's got real stakes, and a lot of the anger and a lot of the character motivations are based off of that. So I feel like the X-Men's always had that over other teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Just because it also causes like everybody's ideologies to like kind of clash, and within the team and whatever. So that gives like a little extra layer of like plot and dynamic for the teams to get over and finally come together and do what needs to be done in order for them to survive. The Runaways are just like, well, we got to figure out how our parents don't find out that we know they're killers and shit, and they're in this cult and they're weird fucks, and we just got to hide that, and we also got to hide our powers in the same breath. But I don't know. I definitely go with The Gifted on that one.
But you, Danielle?
Yeah, same, because like, let's say it was different, and they're like, I would back my parents up if they were serial killers. I'd hide that. So what if you're in my shoes and we're like, I got you, mom and dad. It's not a life and death state, and I'm pretty sure their parents aren't plotting. Well, most of them. I don't know about Nico's weird ass mom. But I'm pretty sure they're not targets for their parents.
I agree. And I feel like with the Runaways, like, if they ever did get discovered, these are their parents. It's not going to be like, we're just going to immediately assassinate you. I mean, I get that like, maybe some of them would. You never know. Like Nico's mom is kind of really psycho.
Yeah, Nico's mom seems to like the type.
They refer to Nico's sister, who, like,
died.
Yeah, what's up with that? Did she actually commit suicide, or did she realize what
I think
happened?
the mom, I think it's either she committed suicide or the mom had something to do with her dying or some shit. I don't really know.
Part of me gets the vibe that maybe she did commit suicide because she discovered what Nico discovers and couldn't handle it or something. I don't know. They've gotten that one open-ended.
Yeah, but I don't get how that would make sense to the narrative, since since her mom is so we don't want you in this room and you gotta stay out of it, let's not talk about her, and
Yeah.
I
It
was
doesn't make sense to me.
surprised to see her pussy-whipped husband having an affair with the mad scientist's wife. That was interesting.
right. I was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. Especially
I was apparently his mom, but then I was like, wait, this girl was a thought.
and I'm just like, and then Nico's, when they're having that date at the restaurant, I'm just like,
He's just like, be gone, thought.
she's serving it to him on a platter, and he's just like, no, no, I'm good. I don't even want this dinner anymore. I'm good.
That's what I would have been like, what's up? Because, come on. Really?
I'm like, dude, why are you turning it down? This is your wife. And then it's the next scene is yeah, I'm coming over. And I was like, where are you going? You get the intense sex scene, and I'm just like, okay, did not expect that. But it's a nice little twist, I guess.
I keep wondering
discovered.
if they're going to do something with them, or if they were the spouses that just sort of got forced into this pride group, or maybe in the end that they're, because they kind of seem like the runaway kids or the teenagers where they're forced into this. But I don't know. Maybe they got something up their sleeve, or they're just as bad as the rest of them.
Yeah, it could be. But like I said, every couple has their own reasoning and agenda as to why they're in this group. So to me, it seems like they were kind of forced into the whole thing just because they were just there, and they were like, "Listen, you." Maybe they overheard some shit. They're like, "Listen, it's either you're in or you're out, and if you're out, you're exiting the box."
You're sacrificed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it has something to do like that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it looks like we're tied now. So Runaways got the first 2 rounds. Gifted got the last 2. So we're actually neck and neck now.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, it was first.
Die now.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be Runaways, but I don't know.
Oh.
So round 5, our last round, we're going to talk about villains. And I know a lot of these shows have a lot of villains. The Gifted, I think we're probably better off focusing on one villain because everybody kind of has chameleon roles in these. But for me, The Gifted, I felt like had the villain is Sentinel Services, obviously, because you don't want to end up in Dr. Campbell's science lab, or you don't want to end up in jail. Whereas the Runaways, it's the parents. And my person.
It's like, what are you gonna do, Brad?
Exactly.
Yeah, go to your room. Go to your room and stay.
I mean, I'm personally obviously going to give the villain round to The Gifted because that is, again, the stakes are much higher, in my opinion. And I mean, even though I have to bitch that organizationally wise, I think that The Gifted Sentinel Services could take some notes from Pride because they seem to be a little bit better organized and are a little scarier in some ways with the parents' backgrounds. Like that guy, apparently the dad that's the mafia, used to be in the mafia or the gangs or shit.
Yeah, he was part of the Crips or something like that.
Yeah. So, and then where Sentinel Services seems to kind of be either, like I said, really good or really, really, really fucking bad. But still, I feel like The Gifted earns that round. What about you, Daniela? What do you think?
Yeah, I have to go with The Gifted for pretty much the same reasons. They're more in life or death situations.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Runaways on this one, just because the Sentinel Services are kind of very downplayed, and while they do pose a big threat compared to Pride, I just Pride just seems much more organized and much more dead set at accomplishing what they want to accomplish, opposed to how Sentinel Services tries and goes about getting these mutants and then failing each and every single time they got these mutants cornered somewhere. So I had to go with the Runaways on this one.
Okay.
That sounds good. I may throw in one more round here because it's so funny. Like I guarantee you, I know how all of us were swaying on like which one we thought was the better. But believe it or not, The Gift is winning right now. I'm shocked, honestly.
Wow.
So let's focus on the series.
Very shocking.
Let's focus on the series overall. Maybe that can like we'll give the Runaways a chance. But we'll start with The Gifted. What do you guys think of The Gifted overall? Ozzy, what do you think?
Well, like I said, I like the show, but just like I like the Mutant Underground. Sentinel Services is like okay. They're not. While they, like I said, they do pose a big threat, but just the way they execute said threat makes them seem like meh, like subpar type villains.
Oh.
But for the sake of it being a TV show that needs to last like 20 some odd episodes, then I guess kind of had to downplay it and water it down to where they seem like incapable of executing anything. Now with the Runaways, like I said, the little bit that we've seen them, Pride has seemed like a much bigger threat to not only the kids but as to the whole disguise of church and like the Runaways themselves. So I think I'm gonna have to go with the Runaways on this one again.
Fair enough. What about you, Daniela? Which one would you vote for overall? Well, for overall series, I mean, The Gifted is good, but like you guys we've said this like 30 times in this episode. Fox has fucked up so monumentally over the years that you don't know where it is. You don't know what. Are the X-Men dead? Are they not dead? Was it the Logan event, or was it the other movies that have been retconned, or like what's going on? That hurts the show so bad. And it's one of those. It's like that elephant in the room nobody wants to talk about. No matter how good they do the characters, no matter how good they do the Sentinel Services, which again is questionable right now, the villains or whatever else that they want to do in the future, you can't get away from the fact that Fox fucked up so bad in their continuity that you're kind of confused.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go with the Runaways.
Well, that's 2 for Runaways.
I'm also trying to stick to like who's more accurate comic book wise and what's like a better adaptation. That's what I was gonna say. I feel like Runaways is pretty spot on, and Gifted, they have a lot of potential since they have, Sentinels, but with all that continuity, it's hard to deliver fully as a TV show, even though you have like all this great setup in the background. And generally, Hulu and like Netflix shows are better. So yeah, I guess we'll go with Runaways.
Well, there you have it,
Runaways
folks.
takes the cakes.
Yep. So I'm going to judge this competition based off of overall comments, because, I mean, they all had good points. Gifted won on some things, but consistently wise and building potential, I think Runaways, we all agree. I think we all agreed even before we started this battle that Runaways kind of was going to win. The Fox TV network, whatever they're going to be called now that they're part of the MCU, is kind of the lesson everybody else out there, and I think DCU totally ignored, because they should have looked at what Fox has fucked up for how many years have they had it now? What, 15, 17?
So almost 20 years.
I know, like all those mistakes, all those movies, and you couldn't figure out what to do with DC. Like
almost 18 years of this crap.
I know, and the sad part is, in my opinion, other than the X-Men, I know I'm partial to the X-Men, I fully admit that. I feel like, because I read a shit ton of comics, I feel adequate in saying this, DC has better comic material. They really do. They have the multiverse. They have Flashpoint. They have all kinds of things. Marvel's good, don't get me wrong. They have their own things that are really good, and part of that might be because I'm not as well versed in like the Avengers and stuff, but I just feel like DC, even current times with Rebirth, they've done a better job than Marvel with Legacy. And I'm so disappointed at their fucking movie studios. Like, come on, how can you fuck this up? It should be a sure thing.
There for you. It's
yeah, like Justice League. Like I was telling people, I even said this in my Justice League review, and I'm like, Justice League should have been the type of event that the first Avengers was. and they had all this source material. You own every single one of these characters. You didn't have the problem that Marvel had, where the characters were scattered everywhere. So you had to make like massive changes to the comic book source material to be able to do this on the big screen. Like you have everything there. Like the is all written out there for you, and you just did not execute it at all. And like I tell people all the time, like when it comes to comics, DC is a much better comic book company than Marvel. And not saying that Marvel itself is bad when it comes to comic books, because they have a lot of good stories, and they have a lot of like good like events that happen, and crossovers and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like you said, DC has the multiverse. They have New Gods. They have the Fourth World. They have the Rebirth stuff. They have the New 52. They have the classic stuff. Flashpoint. You have a whole variety of epic storylines that aren't necessarily crossovers. And that's what Marvel has. Most of their big storylines are crossovers. It's very rare that you find storylines within Marvel for a single character that really stands out, opposed to DC. So I think that's like the studio aspect. They're just not grasping that idea, not understanding the potential that they have and the advantage that they have over Marvel Studios. Not saying that that's not swaying back into Marvel's favor now that they're going to get the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back, but it was something that DC should have thought about. And Jeff Johns, being the overseer of all these movies and being one of the great writers for DC that he is, should have listen, this is what we're doing. This is what needs to come next. He should have been the Kevin Feige to WB. That's what he should have been. And that's where they fucked up really bad.
So disappointing. It's one of those things. It's like fool me once, fool me twice thing, because they've fucked up so bad so many times. At this point, I don't even know how to save them, because they've fucked up so many times. People are going to be like, you're cried wolf like 3-4 times now. Like, I'm not going to go and see that shit until it's on video, because I'm not going to invest $15 or something to go see a film that inevitably might be shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that happened with them with Justice League. Like, people spoke with their wallets this time. And like I posted the other day on my Instagram page, like now they're reconstructing the entire DC Films studio as a whole. Like, there's no more Zack Snyder directing. They want to get someone who's just going to oversee these movies now. They want to reboot because nobody's liking anything that they're putting out. And compared to 20, 30 years ago, like DC was on top of their shit with all those Batman movies and those Superman movies.
Yeah.
With this, they just started failing once it came to like. That was like the start of the downfall. Then fast forward 2 years to Man of Steel. Then you got BVS, Suicide Squad, now Justice League. It's like you're taking all the missteps in the wrong direction when they have everything to be able to compete with Marvel or even exceed Marvel.
It's so disappointing.
Yeah, there's just a lot of potential there, but just not executed correctly. Just like Fox had all the potential to execute these X-Men films.
Exactly.
And they failed each and every time.
They really did. It was comical how bad they failed. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to us. Obviously, you found us somewhere, but just reminding you guys, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify now. We're on YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, and you can also find us on shootthebreezecomics.com. Thank you so much for Ozzy for guest starring with us. You can find him on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and obviously iTunes as well. And I think you have a YouTube channel now, right?
Yeah, now I have just started it just like last week or something like that. I have a YouTube channel now where I'm uploading the podcast, all the previous podcast episodes that I put out up until the point where they all caught up with the present podcast episodes. And, wrap up our first year and our first season of the Nerdy Basement podcast.
If you guys aren't following Nerdy Basement, you need to. He has all the fresh news out there. I mean, that's where I get all my new stuff. I go to the Nerdy Basement's
I get
Instagram.
that a lot. I get that a lot.
So, I mean, you're doing a good job. You really are. And we enjoy listening to your podcast. Your other co-hosts are hilarious. You guys are just too much. We're going to have to definitely guest star on y'all's as well. Bring more of this about, because this was good. This was fun.
Yeah, next time I'll bring my co-host, or at least one or both of them, depending on how we can do this. But we'll get everybody here, and then we'll do one massive 6-hour episode. 6-hour episode ranting about comic books and stuff.
Yeah, definitely,
Right.
definitely. And thank you, Daniela, for being here with me as well. Wolfie and Jessica will be on the next episode. Just again, there's so many of us now between Nerdy Basement and Thought Bubbles that we were struggling to wonder how this was going to work, but it actually worked out pretty well. But
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So thank you guys for that.
But we'll catch you guys next time. We haven't really decided what we're reviewing next time. Just as a heads up, we are doing a Gwenpool comic giveaway. I'm a lazy bitch and haven't put the picture out there on Instagram, but I will. And we do have some Action Lab trades that we will also be doing giveaways in December. Again, we're late to the show, but we all got real lives. And again, if y'all support us, we can start making money doing this shit, and then I don't have to go to my...
Same here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Listen to us,
That's the
support
goal
us,
here.
share us.
That's the goal here.
Yeah.
But thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will catch y'all in another episode.